Shut up and sit down.
Peach.
I could eat a
Peach for
hours.
peach. I could eat
A peach for hours. Well, that was kind of weird. Hey, I'm Simon from Nerd Safari, and if you've been enjoying our Cage-a-thon, hit that subscribe button right there. But for now, it would be remiss of us not to cover the cagiest of cagey movies ever. So get ready to dive into Face Off.
I don't care if I live.
You're not having any fun, are you, Sean? Try terrorism for hire. We'll blow some stuff up. It's more fun.
Plan B. Let's just kill each other.
Now, unlike some other Nicolas Cage movies that we've covered recently, Face Off actually got some really great reviews. But do not expect a serious movie. If you're looking for thought-provoking drama, you can move right along. Remember, this movie was made in the late 1990s, where it was pretty common for directors to come up with completely preposterous and ridiculous premises, loop in a couple of A-list celebrities to try to salvage the project, and really just string together less and less believable action set pieces. That's all true, Negative Simon, but remember, Face Off is a little different. Now first, look at the actors that they chose, two of the hammiest in Hollywood. Nicolas Cage needs no introduction, but if you're looking for a recap, just check out our recent coverage of Con Air and Gone in 60 Seconds to see Nick Cage in all of his glory. And of course, John Travolta was still basking in the glow of Pulp Fiction and also enjoying the limelight from Broken Arrow, one of his more recent action movie roles, along with John Woo, the director of this movie. So yes, Negative Simon, we absolutely have a completely silly premise to this movie.
And now, after all this time, I finally figured out a way to trap him. I will become him.
And a ton of really over-the-top action. But what keeps people coming back to Face Off is the Olympics of overacting, where you have two A-list powerhouses chewing the scenery every step of the way.
You good looking. You're hot. It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
Most of all, both Nicolas Cage and John Travolta seem to revel in playing the primary bad guy in this movie, Castor Troy. Whether it's Nicolas Cage's early depiction of Castor Troy filling up a choir girl in the middle of a packed congregation, or whether it's John Travolta's depiction of Castor Troy later in the movie, unashamedly creeping on his nemesis's wife and daughter.
Do you have protection?
What, you mean like condoms?
Protection.
Either way, both Nicolas Cage and John Travolta seem to absolutely love playing this ridiculously over-the-top bad guy.
Troy? Now that is between us, okay?
But you were...
In a coma? Nothing like having your face cut off to disturb your sleep.
And I have to mention that for me personally, there's a scene in the prison in this movie that features the most exquisite overacting that we had ever seen from Mr. Nicolas Cage. And let's not underestimate the impact that director John Woo had on this movie, because all of his trademarks are here. You've got shotguns blasting people halfway across the room, you've got doves, you've got battles in churches, you've got flapping trench coats in the breeze, you've got people staring at each other moodily down the barrel of a gun. And most of all, of course, you've got John Woo's trademark of people diving through the air with two guns blazing. So the script for this movie was actually sold to Warner Brothers 7 years earlier, and they fully intended to make it. However, they were filming Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone at the same time, and they felt that this movie was just too similar to Demolition Man, so they shelved it. It was only after 7 years, when Warner Brothers' rights to this movie actually expired, that the two people who wrote the script sold it again to Paramount Studios to make it in 1997. Now, because this script was written quite a lot earlier, it was actually intended to star Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the lead roles. However, when Warner Brothers purchased it, they decided that it was going to star Michael Douglas and Harrison Ford in the lead roles. That would have been quite a movie, but when John Woo picked the project up as director, he recognized that what the movie really needed were two highly recognizable personas that the audience would be familiar with, so that they would know when the lead actors were impersonating each other, and therefore he felt that both John Travolta and Nicolas Cage were perfect for the role. Before filming started, Nicolas Cage and John Travolta actually spent 2 weeks in each other's company, just looking at each other's speech patterns and mannerisms so that they could more easily mimic each other when it came to shooting. Unlike many movies of the time, and largely due to John Woo's direction, this movie featured a lot more physical props and stunts than CGI. And one example of that is there's a scene in the movie where an aeroplane is destroyed, and they knew that actually destroying a real aeroplane, you get one shot. So they actually had to surround that plane with 13 different cameras to record that explosion from 13 different camera angles so that they could get the take that they wanted. In the prison scene in this movie, the prisoners are wearing some pretty funky boots. Now, do those boots look familiar to you at all? Well, just a few years earlier, those boots were actually worn by the Goombas in the Super Mario Bros. Movie in 1993. Believe it or not, this was also the first ever movie that Paramount Studios released on Blu-ray. There was actually a trilogy of movies released the same weekend: Face Off, Next, and B-movie? Okay. There's actually a pretty incredible scene in this movie where during a crazy firefight there's a young boy calmly listening to Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And that song, Over the Rainbow, was actually performed by Olivia Newton-John, who of course famously starred alongside John Travolta in Grease. The name of the prison, Erewhon, sounds kind of funky, right? Well, first of all, it's an anagram of nowhere, but it's also a reference to a book that was written 150 years ago by an author called Samuel Butler about a prison city where the rules of society were turned upon their head. In that same prison, there's a scene where a character is hiding from guards behind some crates, and if you've got eagle eyes, you may see on one of the crates the word InGen. Now, InGen could be a reference to the 1993 Jurassic Park movie. That's the company who built Jurassic Park. But InGen also means no one in Scandinavian languages, so could also fit in with a prison called Nowhere. Even the names of the characters are something of an Easter egg. If you think of Sean Archer, in astrology the Archer was Sagittarius. Diametrically opposite Sagittarius is the constellation Gemini, and the two primary stars in the Gemini constellation are Castor and Pollux. And there are a lot of tiny Nicolas Cage references built in here as well. For example, when escaping from prison, Archer steals a beige Volvo. In the movie The Rock, Nicolas Cage's character says that he drives a beige Volvo. And in the movie Con Air, Nicolas Cage's character throws a character called Pinball out of a plane and it lands on, yes, a beige Volvo. This movie was originally supposed to be a sci-fi movie set in the near future, and that's why you've got some hangovers from that, like a futuristic prison in the middle of the sea where everybody's wearing giant clompy boots. John Woo was not keen on the futuristic angle at all, really did not want to direct a sci-fi movie, and he felt that the audience really wouldn't care about some of the continuity issues and some of those futuristic elements remaining in the movie, and hey, I guess we didn't. They also considered a bunch of different ways to have Castor Troy end up in a coma at the beginning of the movie. First of all, they were looking at him being frozen in liquid nitrogen, but of course that was much too similar to Demolition Man. Then they were due to have him fall from the top of an air traffic control tower in the same scene. John Woo did not like that at all. They were going to have him zapped by high electricity cables. Again, John Woo hated that idea, so somehow they ended up with the idea that he gets blown down a wind tunnel by a jet engine. So if you're looking to see John Travolta, Nicolas Cage and John Woo all at their best, unshackled from the demands of a studio and going balls to the wall, you've got to give Face Off another try. You will not regret it. That's it from me. I'm Simon from Nerd Safari. Please hit that subscribe button. And for now, I'm going to go back to
Eating a
peach for hours.
Eating a
Peach.
for hours.
Peace out, my friends.
Shut up and sit down.